I've made a few notes and I'd like to throw them into the discussion. So before people have joined live, we have been discussing the TikTok approach, the Instagram approach, and all that. And then again and again, today during this meetup, we have discussed it. Test your talk to peers, maybe talk to your colleagues, ask questions on the internet, or like tweet, blog. So where I'm going is that as a speaker, you're pretty much few steps away from sort of an influencer career, because like to get feedback to your talks before you give your talk, well, you have to have the audience. Otherwise, you'll have to ask your mom, and she likes your talk already. So can you reflect on that? Do you feel that you have to be a sort of, I don't know, media person, influencer, a public person to be a speaker?
When I was getting started, I actually felt a little spiteful about this, because I saw folks who had many followers who would say, "Hey all, what are we thinking about this?" And then in 2 weeks, I would see a blog post from them, very thoughtfully, with all of these, suggestions that their thousands of followers had given them in like hundreds of replies, or at least dozens of replies. And I looked at this and I was like, oh, well, like that would make it much easier now, wouldn't it? Because I felt that I needed to kind of bootstrap and to, kind of like when so I'm a self-taught developer. And so that means that back when I was coding like tic-tac-toe in Python, I would go to one of my software developer friends and I would be like, "Hey friend, could you look at this and give me critiques?" And they would be like, "No, I'm watching a show on Netflix." And I would be like, "Hey, I brought you a cookie. Would you look at my code?" And finally, they would like give me some time. And it wasn't as bad, because after I went through that process, I had like a small crew of people who I knew would have my back, who I knew if I said, "I want to be a public speaker now. Can you look at my first drafts? They're going to be ugly." That they would go through and say, "Oh, this is a strange idea. We don't do things this way." Really like pick at what I was saying in a constructive way. And but I definitely felt that, where do I even start? Which is why things like Global CFP Day, things like the hashtags and Twitter accounts that send out things, and people who are interested in CFPs follow occasionally on there. I'll see someone who says like, "Hey, I will review so many, send me a message." Like that's why I'm grateful for those experiences, because without them, I think it can be like it's difficult, and you do find yourself asking whoever for advice when someone else who's better known wouldn't need to. So I definitely see that there's some amount of bootstrapping that is part of this process. It's not perfectly fair. We don't all have access to the same resources and the same ideas and the same people, but so it's important to kind of like think about what you do have, not be afraid to like cold tweet some people. They're usually pretty nice, and to just like keep trying. There's definitely some stubbornness that helps a lot.
Laura, you're surrounded normally by, I guess, few thousands of people, right? Well, at least in Swedbank, not all of them are programmers. And also, to my understanding, you're not super active on social media, meaning for peer feedback, you prefer like the physical approach.
Yeah, you're actually very right. And I'm not active in the social media. I'm very far from influencing in that way. On the one side, I still see that can be a benefit there. And actually, when I was going into the conference, then I only started to use the Twitter and so on. But of course, there are other approaches as well, and probably which I'm choosing, it's now directly asking the person. That can be as a famous person, expert, or that can be just the field expert from my own the zone, and get the feedback from there. But of course, as you mentioned, your mom likes your talk, despite that it's in English. Mom doesn't understand in English. My mom said, "Oh, you're doing well." But so you really need to find whom to ask, and if you can trust the person that they can advise you very openly, despite that can be the critic, negative feedback, that's all good. But if you understand the need of that and the person understands that, I think that is totally fine, despite that it can be your friend or your colleague, but still in that field and so on. But the problem gets when you are afraid to get the negative feedback, and the more problem coming that the person afraid to give you negative feedback. So we always do. They always have that kind of open saying that please say good and bad parts. It's very good to share them. So my experience it's more or less like this. I do not even try to have the audience and then to ask them in the social media, at least at current period.
Akshat, is there something that we haven't covered? Well, your idea with doing with rotating arrays on TikTok or something.
So for me, I think that's something is super required in these times. So now, given it like now we can't go outside. Now we can't really. We all have to work remotely, and I don't think that the situation is going to change even in the 2021 till the corona vaccine is there. So the best way to get the feedback or to be relevant in this super difficult time is through online only. And not only online, but yes, being online is something different. You just can't be just log in and then you have to share irrelevant information. You always have to get a feedback from your followers. you I will give you a real example. Like on LinkedIn, when I use LinkedIn a lot. So what happens is that there are like 10 or 15 people who always keep on following your post. They always like you, or they will always share you. They will actually follow you. So you always have to take care for them as well. You reach them out, be thankful to them, always keep a personal communication with them, and they are the one who will give you the real feedback. Just ask them openly. Means there are different way of asking the feedback as well. So even if after today I will ask my office colleague, that how was my talk, so they will say it was super awesome. But that should not be the way. Which part you like the most? If they don't remember anything, just take it like they haven't followed you. So really, it's a factual thing that if they haven't got anything, so even though they have, so there are different part of whether you are listening or whether you are focused on that or not. So so
It's such an unfortunate truth that you're saying. I don't want to admit it, but it's true.
Yeah. So even though
Yeah.
one person give you a real feedback, it is super awesome.
Yeah.
The best feedback when you're like person even taking notes, or what does he like or not, and then it's very concrete, and then it's easy to apply and change it. Yeah, it's the best thing.
And also, we have been live for almost 2 hours, and we have been recording for more than 2 hours. So all of us like look already tired, and like, you know, the corner of the eye looks towards the bathroom, like it's time. And we're over time, and I'm not proud of this today. However, what is between us right now and going to the bathroom is We have Alina with questions in the chat, and we will discuss her question. That's one, and then we'll make a recap. It wasn't here, and then we'll make a recap and figure out like what have we learned today. So let's switch to Alina, and let me read this aloud. Or are you following the chat? Actually, who has the video chat open? I guess all of us? None of us?
I have the chat open.
You can read better.
Yeah. So I'm trying. I don't know Alina's voice, so I'll read it. I'll read this in my voice. I'm sorry, I have to move you, Akshat, because of the loud racing cars. Veronica, did you train somehow to have such calm, normal paced speech, or it comes to you naturally? When I watch recordings of me talking, I always notice how fast I speak, and I just cannot slow down, even though I know it's a problem. Yet there are some techniques to improve that. Maybe others know.
So the times that I've spoken too fast, I believe those are the times when I was either learning my talk and like reading from my outline, or when my talk is too close to memorized. So at that point, it becomes something to deliver. So if it were me and I were speaking too fast, I would experiment with trying to focus on remembering my transitions between slides and transitions between ideas, and like you mentioned earlier, any transitions around any live coding, like, you know, what will I be saying when I make this shift? Because in my opinion, the best talks have a fair bit of ad-libbing that happens within them, so it starts to come off, you know, more naturally. It's easier to keep your own cadence. So that would be my first round of advice. Anybody else?
Veronica, Akshat?
I could just add that sometimes you cannot slow down yourself, but what sometimes helps that you're making pauses, and that if it's hard for you to make pauses, do at the beginning artificially. Just think that after this part you want to make some pause, because sometimes audience need to rethink what you just said. If it was very important, do a longer pause, because people want to reflect as well, to discover that. But with the time, those pauses as well becomes something natural and becomes part of how you're speaking. But at the beginning, for me as well, those all pauses was like, okay, I need to make the pause. And now it's really people need to take their time as well. So I would say with the pauses, you can make your talk a bit slow down as well.
Akshat, we need to listen to your racing cars again. And yourself, obviously.
Exactly. So it really matters that how you are, or how we are expressing, and how we are connecting the audience. So if we are confident, our audience will feel more confidence. They will get more attracted towards the content. If we are nervous, or if we, because this, our face reflects that, and our body language reflects that whether we actually agree with the words or not. So it really matters that how we are expressing those things. And even though we are saying it is fine if you are able to express it, and if you are able to show that the confidence to your audience. Now, major thing is that don't take much breaks, and rather than we should be stay silent, or we should say, let me think, or we should say something like, oh, I forgot, oh, I shouldn't do this, oh, I forgot. So just be natural, and the audience understand that you are a human being, and you will make mistake, and be ready to accept, and just make fun of you, just just that I did this mistake honestly. So your audience will love you.
Building off of that, I found it helpful to give myself permission to, if I ever found myself going too fast, and like today I missed changing a slide because I was so into what I was saying. If I ever find myself making a mistake or I realize I'm going so fast, to pause and like, I have even said before, like, hey, I'm nervous and it's easy for me to go fast when I'm nervous. And then everyone like claps a little, and they like want you to do well, and you feel that they want you to do well, and you don't and you realize that like you won't always ask that. Like that is something you ask once, you have that experience, you get through it, and you say like, okay. But if you need to like set a restart, I think as everyone's mentioned so far, like taking a pause is a very great way to do it. And if you need to like say like, make it a more noticeable pause in some way just for yourself, like this is your show. So you should do what you need to.
I remember when I was in school and I was speaking in front of like 2,000 or 3,000 people were there. It was a debate. It was a massive debate. It was in India. And I was participating in that debate first time. And I somehow said like, I will participate because the thing is, for participating in that, you have to go to the another city. And it was quite exciting at that time that I have to go and then I don't have to study. So I prepared for it, and somehow I wasn't very prepared for it. And when I went to stage, so there was a podium, and the audience were only able to see my face. They can't see my body or hands or legs. So when I went there and when I saw like 2,000 people, my hands and legs started shaking, and nobody can see that. And I was like, I was speaking like I can't say that word, but I was speaking shit. So and and somehow it's like and some people, in audience there are always some people who make fun of you, and they start. Oh, sorry. Uh, so they start making fun of you, and then they start liking my talk, and everybody was like, "Hey, hey!" And then I got cheered up, and somehow I spoke off the topic. People like it, they loved it, and somehow I felt, and then I regained my confidence. So it doesn't matter that you always have to stay on the topic. I think what matters is speaking, and whether your audience is liking it or not. So next time, just make sure you stay on the topic.
Yeah, so we don't have time today to dig deeper into so many topics like that we slightly touched. The lightning talks, that's a deep dive. And why is it cool? And the rejection is not a drama, it's also important, and like what to make of it. And peer reviews like in physical rooms, and how to better do this. This topic is not actual until maybe later next year. But still, so these topics will get into the next event. What we have time today is a question from Alina. In the process of creating a talk, do you love what you're creating before seeing feedback from audience? I did a few talks, and before I present, at some point I felt, oh my god, this is a disaster and boring. I'm wondering if that means that I'm not passionate and chose wrong topic, or is it a regular thing? Is it okay to continue if you don't like your topic?
I think I will give an honest opinion on this before the today's talk. I sent the same presentation to some of my friends and the colleagues, and they helped me. There were some disastrous mistakes, like the spelling of think was wrong, and I was not able to see THINK. So it's a simple word, but it was wrong. And this really helps, that take the feedback from some of the people. Always understand that some of the people are always your good for, and just ask an honest feedback on that whether the content is good or not. you like it or not, whether there was at least one slide which was new for you or not. So this will help you in deciding. This is a very deciding factor for some people. Even though it is a good presentation, for some people it will be boring because they know the call for paper. Oh, we know this thing. Oh, what is this? They are talking about something very simple thing. Yeah, rejection. We know this thing. Everybody know this thing, but everybody don't speak up. So we always have to think that we need to speak and we need to continuously improve, rather than thinking about that whether it was disgusting or whether it was funny or whether it won't make any sense or not.
So one thing that I think at some point I hate everything I'm working on. Like if I go deep enough into something, it's not like happy bliss all the way down. Like at some point you're just like, what have I done? I shouldn't be doing this. This is terrible. This whole topic is stupid. Like da da da. Um that said, if you are finding that you wrote your abstract and as you're digging deeper, you start to think that you were wrong in your abstract, or you start to think, oh, this talk should actually go this other way. It is perfectly okay to, with plenty of time ahead, to say, hey, conference organizers, I would like to make this shift or that shift. Probably it's okay. And it's true that as you're researching a topic, often you go deeper and you may say, actually, I find out I'm wrong. I will actually have to give a talk on how what I propose to be true is actually untrue. And that can still become a very good talk. So you should give yourself flexibility to, one, hate everything because you're working really hard at it. And if you decide that truly you need to shift direction, to just ask for what you want early, and remember you're like on a team and the goal is to like present good content and see, if there's any feedback they have for you.
I would like to add on that in my speaking career, it happens quite often that I pitch the topic, it gets accepted, I start working on exactly what you're saying, Veronica, and then you're like, no, it's like we should put a different angle. And yes, your advice is to talk to the organizers and maybe twist it and change the topic, maybe slightly change the description so it fits the new iteration of the talk. And whenever I wouldn't do that, or whenever I didn't do that, I mostly ended up with the Frankenstein kind of talk that tries to adhere to the previous angle, but I know the new angle is better. And you all know that doing two talks at once is not the best way to do the talk. You'll be split with the message, there won't be one single takeaway, so don't do my mistakes. Do your own.
Yeah, and to add up what I experience, and it's when you're repeating your talk, sometimes you just get tired of your content, the full topic. And if you're maybe have like if you have like in the same month 2 talks, that can be actually too much. But from what I'm doing, I'm just trying to add some new small parts to make yourself interested a bit, or just to have some rest time that you would a bit take that topic aside, work on something else, and then when you're taking that again, it's again becoming a bit more interesting. And that's actually very making difference in how you are making the delivery of the talk. And to be interested in your talk, I would say, yeah, you should strive for that. And maybe sometimes it's better just to keep that aside, take something else, and later on just to come back to that one as well.
I would like to add here that the hack which I think which works is that always if you want to become a good speaker, you should be able to at least grab the audience attention. And to test this is participate in the hackathons, because you will be pitching your idea. And when you pitch your idea, and if you are selected in 1, 2, 3 hackathons, it means you are able to sell your idea. And if you are able to sell your idea, means you can speak about it, and audience will buy it. So somehow, what is the speaking means is, it is somehow is a kind of the sales, that we are making a sales pitch, and whether somebody is buying your argument or not. So think in that manner. Do this with your colleague, with your friends, with your the same presentation. If they like it, if they are not yawning, and if they are asking questions, so it's good. Means it's an engaging talk. Or else, if they are not speaking up, if there is nothing happening, so think like you need to change a lot. So these are something practical. I really believe that this is something practical, and speaking is not an art, or some people say it's an art. No, it's not an art. The only thing is, it's just a simple thing. Uh, it's same like you're talking to your mother, parents, or family. The same way, you have the confidence. How you get that confidence? Because you trust each other. If you trust your audience, and if your audience is trusting you, that's all.
And I want to apologize again to our audience and us for that we're about 30 minutes over time. I will figure out what we did wrong this time. But let's make it like this. Let's make it like this. So shall we end up today's meetup with the following? What is the most memorable thing for you today? Maybe you have learned something, maybe you have a great idea, or maybe you're admired by something that has happened within the last 2.5 hours.
For me, it was, I'll give you, first of all, thank you, Ole, for such a amazing like moderation. So you were moderating very good. I loved it, and the way the points you are putting up. For Laura, I have your presentation was really good, and of course you spoke really, and how you emphasize your all points were really good. For Veronica, I loved naysayers. I loved the known tweeters reach me here. So there are few things which I loved about it, and I loved this. The whole session was pretty much engaging. Honestly, from a user point of view, it might be boring for them, because 2 hours continuous YouTube session is difficult for them. So this is also, we have to admit at our end. So it should be maximum 30 minutes, 45
Next time on
minutes.
TikTok.
So I apologize
Right.
on from my side for this long monologue or epilogue.
So, Laura and Veronica, who wants to share impressions?
I can go forward. Yeah, it was actually great. The time just flied, but of course, next time on TikTok gonna be shorter. But thanks for the talks, and that good ideas are just spreading here. And I already had some notes about plan to success, about being-driven development, and so on. The ideas to grasp. But of course, just to discuss the topics, and you are in your own process, and you're taking from your own angle. This is the most important, as usually. And you're taking what at that time probably is the most important for you. And thanks for your time, guys.
I really appreciated hearing what tools other folks were using, and about especially about how other folks had reached out to like people within their community, and like subject matter experts, because I think that those are two critical steps, kind of like getting, if you're on Twitter, who am I going to follow to get that push notification that's going to make me actually fill out the form? And like, as far as feedback goes, where am I going to go? Will I be able to get help? Those I think are two critical steps. So I'm glad we covered that, and I'm really I could have bantered for a very long time with you all, and I look forward to our next TikTok session.
Yeah. For me, it was super fun to touch the topic, like each topic that we have touched, and then to figure out, probably we have to get deeper. And sort of we have to get deeper and deeper in many things, which either sets up for near infinite amount of events, and which is a cool thing. But what I want to take away and think about from this meetup is that you all have invested into the beauty of the design of your slides. And it takes time, and it takes a force, and we are not designers in this chat. So designing is not something that is easy on us, as I presume. At least it's super hard on me. I'm not colorblind, but I don't understand colors, for example. I don't understand fonts. I don't understand many other things that is natural for designers, like what is beautiful and what is not. When you see something is beautiful, you sort of feel it. But when I see my slides, I understand I have to work on them, but I don't see what exactly. So beautiful slides is something that I'm taking away from this meetup. And I don't have a solution to that, but well, that's a takeaway. That's a takeaway.
I think my slides were not beautiful.
You had a beautiful font.
It was simple black and white slides.
See, that's the thing. You never think your slides are beautiful. You always think other people's slides are beautiful. This is the plague that we all have.
Nature.
I try to keep it simple. I try to keep it without colors. I try to keep it to the point, short and concise, because I somehow think that if the audience get this into the head, that's all.
And we're going to discuss slides at one of the next meetups. That is for sure. And with that, let me say goodbye to everybody in the live chat, because I'm shutting you down in 3, 2, 1, goodbye.